Okay, so John Wick, another fall, that's 4 stories. I think he fell belly first. I think anybody would be fucked up from that. Greetings, my name is Rhee, and I'm a former Korean Navy SEAL. During my time in active duty, I was an SDV operator, which is SEAL Delivery Vehicle. I was also part of our Special Missions Unit. I also got to deploy to Somalia twice. After my deployment, I got to go through US SEAL training, so the entire SEAL training pipeline from BUDS, JOTC to SQ2, which is our SEAL qualification training course. So today, I'm going to review some action scenes from the movie John Wick. All right, here we go. Okay, so this is a combination of combatives and also some shooting. I liked how John Wick, he used a wrist lock, and we do that a lot in the military. So whenever we have to capture an unknown or take him down, an unknown is basically somebody that we don't know is a terrorist or a hostage, or he could be in between. So we'll have to take that person down without firing our weapon, and usually we will employ a wrist lock, exactly what John Wick did. So he basically grabbed the wrist and threw him over his shoulder, and that was pretty legit, and that's something that we actually do. If you look at the shooting, sometimes the shooting is not just point and shoot, it's from the hip. And some people might call that unrealistic. No, that's pretty legit. Especially in close quarters, if you can't get the pistol up to eye level, you're gonna shoot from the hip. It's gonna be much quicker, especially at close range. You're not gonna be worried about accuracy too much. I mean, get the bullet out and try to hit him as best as possible. This scene's pretty cool with the knives. I like how he employs he uses the surroundings very well. Everything in his environment is a weapon. So he's grabbing everything he can, and he's just basically chucking the blades at the enemies. This is actually something that we do in the type of combat that I did. So this kind of mindset, I did Krav Maga, that's my base in terms of martial arts. Krav Maga is not really a traditional martial art. It's geared towards military. It's basically the Israeli combatives. And the mindset that we were trained in is we use our environment as much as possible. So if I got into a fight right now, this computer could be my weapon. This phone could be my weapon. If I had a blade in my pocket, obviously that would be a weapon. So everything that I could use in my environment would be a weapon. And that's exactly what John Wick did here. Fortunately, in this antique shop, he's got a huge collection of swords, blades, and that's what he did. So with throwing knives, okay, there's basically 2 ways to throw a knife. So it's not like you're holding a blade as you're in a knife fight. You actually turn it, and you're using your wrist to throw the blade. And that's basically used in very close quarters. Now, if you got some distance, what you want to do is you want to hold the blade just as if you were in a knife fight and throw it so it's going to rotate in. But the problem with throwing knives is that it's a hit or miss. I have experience both in the Korean SEAL teams and the US SEAL teams. I went through both training pipelines. In the Korean SEAL teams, we spend a lot more time in combatives. If I was in this antique shop, like I said, Krav Maga mindset, yes, I do the same thing as John Wick. Yeah, that's pretty legit too. I mean, if you're in a very close quarters combat situation and you have the opportunity to grab a guy and use him as a shield, yeah, you're gonna do that. Have we done that in combat? A similar situation would be on the battlefield. We would use dead bodies as cover. Yeah, to John Wick, the enemy was very close. He was on the ground. So as you can see, when he's throwing those knives at the enemy, it's basically not rotating in, but as I showed you before, it's just with the wrist action. The blade just goes through, basically flying to the target without rotation. All right, so the antique shop scene, very good scene. I like the combatives in there. I would give it a B in terms of realism. Yeah, I love these scenes in the clubs. I think it comes up in every John Wick movie, but again, he employed his pistol from the hip. Yeah, legit. It's what we do, especially in low profile and in very close proximity to people. All right, so a lot of times I see John Wick hold a weapon like this, okay? Now, is that right or wrong? Yes and no. So he's folding it in because he thinks he's in a very close environment or a close quarters environment. Now, the rule would be like, if I can go long, I would go long. If I can't, I would fold it in. Now, if John Wick, if he was in such a confined space that he can't go long, meaning that he can't extend, then yeah, you would have to fold it in, obviously. But in some of these scenes, he's just in a hallway and he can go long, but he doesn't go long. So that is something that we don't do. Like I said, you would obviously be much more accurate aiming this way than aiming this way. Now with this, if I'm too close to the handgun, the slide could fucking smack me in the face, so we don't want that. So I thought this was a good scene too. He tried to fire his weapon, the weapon didn't fire, so he had to reload in front of the bad guy. Yeah, that could happen. Usually when we do CQB, which is close quarters battle, we would normally operate with our carbine, an assault rifle. There are times, of course, that we would do CQB with a pistol, especially in low vis ops. But if we had a long weapon, which is a carbine, and it goes click, then I would go straight to my sidearm. In this situation, he doesn't have a carbine or an assault rifle. He has a pistol, and it didn't fire. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna use hand-to-hand combat or blade, or like what he did, just reload in front of the bad guy. So it's kind of a process. If I had a long weapon, like a carbine, and it goes click, I go to my pistol. If I had a pistol and it goes click, I would go to my blade, if I had a blade. John Wick probably didn't have a blade, which is why he just went to a reload. What John Wick did here, he decided to just reload in front of the bad guy. That's because the bad guy is somewhat neutralized. But yeah, he made the right decision here, reloaded in front of his face and neutralized the enemy. All right, John Wick landed on his back. In this scene, I would say it's very unrealistic. I've fallen on my back before, and it was probably at a height about 2 meters, knocked the wind out of me. I couldn't move for a few seconds, and I know how painful it is. So at this height, to be able to walk away from that right away, yeah, unrealistic. I think the combatives and the shooting was done well. Aside from him, he kept folding the weapon in, even in the hallways, even when he could go long, and the fall was unrealistic, so I give it a combination of a C. Now, in the military and special operations, we employ vehicles. They're called tactical vehicles, and yes, we do shoot from vehicles. Normally, we would have a driver and a separate gunner. Now, John Wick is always a guy that likes to fight alone, so he has to do everything by himself. He's got to drive and shoot at the same time, which is very difficult. Yeah, not very realistic, especially with him being able to take some accurate shots. Now, in terms of shooting through glass, yeah, you can shoot through glass, definitely. Now, I've shot through glass before, and I was not able to hit the target because the glass deflected the bullet. So you would have to take in account of how the glass is going to affect my bullet when I'm going to shoot through glass. So this vehicle shooting scene, I would give it a combination of a D. Okay, so in this scene, John Wick, it seems like he has a lot of cover, but he doesn't. None of the obstacles here stops bullets. So basically it can be used as concealment, but not cover. Concealment will hide you, but not stop bullets. Cover will stop bullets, and that's the difference. So obviously a lot of these obstacles here are made of glass, and you can shoot through them. You can probably even see through them. If I was in this situation, I think I would have been a lot more tactile about this. Everyone's different, every operator is different. I don't like to rely on luck when I do my operations, and the reason being is that even if you are the most trained, badass operator in the world, you can get killed by a 16-year-old with no training. And that has happened before. You know, a tier 1 operator getting killed by some teenager off the street, some gang member. Why does that happen? Shit luck. So I would give a rating of a D. To go up the stairs, I have limited visibility. I don't know what's up on the deck. I don't know what's in the rooms on that deck. If I was in that situation and I was able to fight my way up the stairs and take down 4 bad guys very quickly, those 4 bad guys would probably be very poorly trained. If those 4 bad guys were properly trained, yeah, that wouldn't happen. Okay, we see this kind of movement in movies a lot. So John Wick is hiding behind a wall. He's got his shoulder against the wall, and basically when he fires, he'll just turn his entire body and try to shoot. That's normally not how we do it. If there was a wall in front of me and I'm gonna use it as cover, I'm actually gonna have my weapon pointing towards the wall, and if I need to fire, I'm just gonna cant so that I can fire, and limiting my exposure and just getting my weapon to be exposed so I can take accurate shots. And you can see with the bad guy, he's doing the same thing. He's looking this way, looking that way. He doesn't have the weapon up. He's exposing his shoulder every time he does that. So it's not tactically proficient. Oh shit, okay, so John Wick, another fall, that's 4 stories. I think he fell belly first. Let me see that again. Yeah, so he just jumped out the window, kind of like head first, and it looks like he landed on the van on his stomach. I think anybody would be fucked up from that. I would give it a combination of a D. Okay, it looks like John Wick has a special suit that is bullet resistant, low caliber bullets. Obviously, if you need to stop some high caliber bullets like a 7.62 armor piercing rounds, you're gonna need hard plates. Now, John Wick had a special suit, but when he got shot in the gut, you can see blood. And a stomach shot is a very painful shot, hard to treat, and a very catastrophic wound. So I would give this rating a D. Okay, so John Wick fights this big ass fat guy. The moves that he did, yeah, pretty legit. You can see John Wick, he goes for the neck, the throat, the balls, and the fat guy is still standing like that. Now, is that possible? Yes, it's possible. I've gone into street fights and I actually dug my fingers into the guy's eyes, like all the way inside the eyes. And I dug my fingers in as deep as possible, and the fucker still kept on fighting. And why does that happen? A lot of it has to do with adrenaline. Like, you are so amped up, the opponent is so amped up that he doesn't feel pain. When I was in Ukraine, when one of my teammates was shot, he didn't even know that he got shot until we told him, because he was about to bleed out. It is possible that your opponent won't feel pain and won't be taken down easily, even though you're hitting the pressure points. Now you can see John Wick shot him multiple times, and initially the fat guy didn't even feel those bullets. Shooting somebody in the head or a vital organ, we call that a kill switch, and basically a brain would be a kill switch. You shoot him in the head, through the brain, he will go down. I thought the fat guy died when John Wick popped him in the head from above, which is a 100% kill shot. He should not have been able to get back up. He did in the scene, so John Wick shot him again and did the finishing kill. That isn't very realistic, unless the bullet was a very low caliber bullet. Maybe if it was a 22 and didn't penetrate hard enough to kill him, yeah, that would be possible. So it depends on what kind of round it was, but John Wick, he's always very prideful of the weapons that he uses, and that does not look like a low caliber weapon. So this scene here, probably one of the most realistic scenes. I give that an A. Okay, so we have another bike scene here. Again, I thought it was very unrealistic, just because of the amount of opponents that John Wick had. Now, the moves that John Wick is doing while he's riding the bike. He's driving the bike, he's got a pistol in one hand, he's firing, and he's also doing combatives. Now, is that possible? Yeah. I mean, if he can ride the bike well, John Wick has a shitload of bad guys on his ass, and for none of them to be able to take John Wick down, like I said before, they gotta suck really bad for this to happen. So in terms of realism, I would give this a D. I personally enjoyed all the movies from John Wick 1 to 4, and you also have to remember the movies are not meant to be 100% realistic. So great job to Keanu Reeves for working really hard to make this happen, and I hope you all enjoyed the movies as well. Thanks for watching. I'm Lieutenant Ken Rhee, Rock Seal.
I had to hop in the kitchen, I'm really on fire, you know, ignited, yeah. I know some people don't like it, I'm moving with flavor.